the leadership structure, either getting onto the leadership ladder or moving up it, is a 1. No change in status is a 0. And that's the dependent variable. And we are going to use this in a logit regression to predict movement up the ladder. So here's the regression results from our logit. And as independent variables, we use modified closeness, absolute value of the nominate score, absolute value of the nominate score squared, trying again to capture that sort of humped relationship we captured. We include a control for seniority and seniority squared, and of course, luckily, and maybe this is why I get to be here, we recover a significant coefficient for modified closeness. So the more central a member is to their party's contribution network, the more likely they are to advance through the leadership ladder. Probably nobody likes to look at regression results, so again, we made a graph. So here's the predicted probability of movement through the leadership ladder. We have probably graphed it a little bit too far on the right-hand side. We don't have anybody in the data set with a modified closeness score over 0.9. More of the action is towards the left-hand side of the data. And of course, this is a pretty rare event. Let's see, we only have, out of the 3,389 observations, only 69 of the observations are so-called hits, where the members are moving up the ladder, so only 1.8% of the data.
Do you lag your closeness score from the previous period to predict moving up the ladder?
It is the data from the election cycle previous to the Congress, yes. And additionally, if we use a more expansive definition of leadership, where we add people who are on the party committees, the policy and steering committee, and so forth, we recover the same result as well. And if we move up to that expansive definition of party, then 10% of the observations of the dependent variable become hits, movements up the ladder. So, I probably spoke way too quickly. I guess it can go as long maybe as you want, but next up in our process is to look at network structure and regionalism. I want to sort of really nail down the idea that there isn't sort of a visible and distinct, maybe Southern or socially conservative coalition in the Democratic Party. One way to do that would be to, instead of using algorithmic community detection, we will just examine the modularity directly of Southern Democrats compared to all other Democrats. We also will use measures of structural equivalence to see how equivalent each member is to the party leaders, or maybe an average of party leaders. Similarly, we plan to incorporate the party committees, the campaign congressional committees, into the network and see if they are quite central, sort of filling that gap in the L pattern of contributions, where we have many out-degree and many in-degree individuals, but not many folks who are engaged in both directions. We can also look at the equivalence of and similarity of members' contribution patterns to the party committees to sort of see if they take cues. One of the things my co-author always likes me to say that we are working on is a measure of centrality that takes account for the directed valued contributions. So for the measure of centrality right now, we are dumping the weights, the values, which I am not thinking is such a big deal. I think I wouldn't want to make too strong a case that a $3,000 campaign contribution was much more important than a $2,000 campaign contribution. We'd like to predict, there have been some models that suggest that, especially by Damon Kane, that suggest that high levels of contributions are associated with winning committee chairs. So it would be interesting to see if similarly to leadership advancement, if one climbs the committee structure as well through making being quite central in the campaign contribution network. And finally, eventually we'll get down to trying to reconcile micro models of contribution to the results we have from the macro or global level contributions. Chris Kanthak has a paper where she shows that members who are more similar in ideology are more likely to contribute to each other. That, to some extent, contrasts with our modularity scores and our view of the factions in Congress, which slightly suggests, if nothing else, that members might not be predisposed to make contributions to those more similar to them. Or at least that if the micro-level phenomena is quite small, it doesn't show up in the global measures of faction. So that is sort of the direction we are headed. I hope that this was interesting, and you can give me quite a bit of advice, because I like this project. So thank you. Jen?
Okay, I have a question. So it seems like a lot of the story that you're telling sounds similar to things that I've read in the party's literature, and with respect to changes over time, and also with respect to the importance of making contributions to ascending to the leadership ranks. Now you're doing it in a slightly different way because you're using this new methodology, but I think it would be helpful to see kind of how much more leverage do we get from using this network approach that we don't get from what people have done in the past. For example, with looking at the change in status of leadership, would you get similar results if you were just looking at contributions made by the folks to others in Congress? So I would just like to see the kind of case for this method. So I like the pretty pictures, but kind of what is the big advantage to using social network analysis? And I think it'll be good for folks in this room because some people are teaching social network analysis class here. So I think with respect to your project and more broadly, we offer these types of courses. So
the answer might be there is no advantage. I think we do need to do a sort of a shootout between our measure and the simpler total contribution measure that Hetherington et al. Use in their piece. But I'm not really disturbed that we haven't maybe found anything new. I think it would be more awkward if we found quite unexpected results. Luckily, at least in this paper, we are not doing game theory, so we don't have to be super counterintuitive. I think recovering the expected pattern is okay, and there might be other social networks where we can learn things that we didn't know before. But I think it is I think the material on factions and community detection is sort of new. I mean, I don't think we had I don't think we knew that for certain, that parties didn't exhibit strong factions internally. I think we hope that they don't, and we theorize that we don't, but it's very hard to observe how members interact with each other. And most of the literature that describes that now is on roll call data. So this, I think it's nice to get a different look at that picture of how, what parties look like as they are polarizing ideologically. We know what they look like with roll calls. Perhaps now we know what they look like in their contribution patterns. Yes, up at the top.
Yes. As I understand it, you were doing members to members, and I was kind of going back to the chart that you had with Frist and Hastert and DeLay. Yes, DeLay. That it looked like that might be picking up House members running for Senate. I wasn't entirely sure, but it seems that one of the implications of your research or something to explore would be whether you get more influence by supporting current members versus challengers who may, or candidates for open seats that may or may not get elected.
I completely agree with you. We have a good amount of data on members not just contributing to each other, but to other congressional candidates. And we do hope, very much hope, and plan to